Hello everyone! Here I am in front of the Kohl's art studio at the Milwaukee Art Museum. Let's go inside and make beautifully imperfect drawings inspired by Julia Margaret Cameron. Julia Margaret Cameron is an important photographer who worked during the 1800s. She is known for her close-up, soft focus photographs. Here's a photograph she calls her first success, which she took a month after receiving her first camera. When she started taking pictures, cameras were still fairly new inventions. The first ever photograph was taken in 1826, and this picture was taken less than 40 years later in 1864. When I look closely at this photograph, I notice a line in the print in the upper left corner. Cameron left these imperfections in her images on purpose. The small flaws were a part of her own idea of beauty, which not everyone agreed with when she was making photographs. What is something you think is beautiful? There are things that many people might agree are beautiful, like sunsets or flowers. But sometimes we think something is beautiful that others might not see with the same perspective, like how Julia Margaret Cameron chose to shoot her photographs with a soft focus and left imperfections in her prints. Today we're going to draw a soft drawing that shows beautiful imperfections. I'm going to draw a portrait, but you can draw whatever you think is beautiful. Today I'm using a photograph, carbon transfer paper, brushes and water, watercolor pencils, water-soluble graphite, painter's tape, and watercolor paper. I begin with a photo of my subject. I'm going to draw a relative. I'm using a silly photo of her explaining a television show to a stuffed moose. I think her silliness and sense of humor is something I find beautiful. I'm using carbon transfer paper to outline the features of the person in my photograph. You can find this at a craft store. One sheet can be reused many times. I tape down the watercolor paper. I place the graphite side down on the carbon transfer paper. I trace my image. See how my drawing transfers. Transferring an image onto paper is similar to photography. The camera Julia Margaret Cameron used would transfer an image onto a glass plate. She would then use different chemicals to transfer that image onto paper. Next, I'm using water-soluble drawing materials to fill in the background of my figure. I use water-soluble graphite sticks to shade the area around my figure. I use a paintbrush dipped in water to activate my graphite and soften the marks. After it dries, I use grayscale watercolor pencils to add shadows and details to my figure. I layer washes on top of each other. It's okay if your lines bleed and blend together. Add large shadows first, then finish up with finer details. When I'm done, I let my drawing dry and put it into a standing frame. I have space to add a note just like Julia Margaret Cameron. I hope you enjoy making your own beautifully imperfect drawing inspired by Julia Margaret Cameron, and come to the Kohl studio on the weekends to make your own project inspired by artworks in the galleries. Bye!